Hey everyone! In today's episode, we are beginning phase 1 of my major garden overhaul / reorganization. We will also be planting a new strawberry patch as well as a few bare roots blueberry plants. So come hang out with me in my garden today as we get it all done. The first load of concrete blocks has arrived, so I'm going to unload these and then my husband will go back and get another load. Now, even though you see me here unloading this all by myself, I did have some help from my 2 teenage children when it came time to carry the blocks into the garden and place them where we wanted them. I could not have gotten it done without them. I let them choose their own reward, which of course they wanted extra video game time, which is what they almost always want as a reward when they help out with things. But that's totally fine. I was grateful for the help. All right, got the first load unloaded. Gotta give the truck back to my husband. The reason we have to do this in multiple loads is because the truck can only carry about 1,000 pounds at a time in the bed. So you have to watch with these blocks, they're about 37 pounds a piece. So you can't take more than about 25 at a time without ruining your truck. So anyways, first load is done and I'm gonna move on. Hey guys. So just ignore, I can't get a good angle where the sun's not in my face, so ignore that. But I had a plan for today, but now I'm thinking I might change the plan. This happens a lot. I'm very indecisive about things. The plan originally was that I was gonna pull up all the plastic in the garden so my husband could get in there with the tractor and till everything. Then I remembered I planted peas like right in the middle of where I was gonna have them till. And it's possible he could work around them, but it might be kind of tricky. So I'm thinking maybe we'll save the tilling until the fall. And because I'm not gonna plant most of my trees until then anyway, so I might do that. It's hard to figure out what to do because, you know, I have this idea in my head of what I want. There's a really loud bird. I know what I want this section of the garden to look like, but we don't have the money to do it the way I want to do it, which I would love to terrace the whole thing, like make steps and have terraced beds all the way down. That's just not financially an option right now, so I'm kind of trying to figure out a temporary fix that is not going to make it difficult for me to do the terraces in the future. Hopefully someday we will have the money to do it. So anyways, let's just take a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the section of garden I'm working on today. It's kind of hard to tell from the camera angle, but this is on a hill. It slopes up towards the house, so this is just one big hill that comes down. I do have a few blueberry bushes that I put in, which aren't doing the best right now. I got them from Walmart, just in like the 2-pack that was like $12 for a 2-pack. I bought several of those and they were looking good when I bought them, but after I planted them, I read that you really shouldn't plant berries and trees while they are growing leaves or blossoms because they're putting their energy into growing the leaves and flowers as opposed to putting in strong roots. And so you're really supposed to plant them before it starts to blossom in the spring, which I did not know. So they were already blossoming and I don't know, they're looking pretty sad. I don't know if they're gonna come back or not. But as luck would have it, I completely forgot that I had even ordered blueberry plants online. They just came today, they surprised me. But apparently, Urban Farmer just delivered today 3 bare roots blueberry plants and also a pack of 25 strawberries. So that has now become a part of today's plan, which I was not expecting to do today. But that's okay, because today is the perfect day for those to show up. It's a gorgeous sunny day. The high is 70 degrees. It's perfect. So I was planning on working in the garden all day anyway, so the timing couldn't have been better, but I do not even remember ordering those. That was probably one of those like midnight on my phone as I was falling asleep purchases. But anyways, yeah, so I do have some sugar snap peas growing right here. I have 2 rows of those, which are kind of in the way because there's the gate for the tractor to get through, and it would have to get past those to be able to get up there and till everything. So I think what I'm gonna do, instead of tearing up all this plastic, is I'm just gonna do like spot by spot this year. And I might end up tilling in the fall after I've harvested all the peas. I might till this all up, but I am planning on this top section. Now right now this is all just weeds because I haven't planted anything yet. But this top section in the corner here, these are the best raspberries in the entire world. I got these from Burpee. They are called double gold raspberries, and I had just bought 2 little plants a few years ago, and look how they've taken off. They're, I don't know if you can see, there's like, that was the beginning of one plant and this was the other plant. They have grown huge. Those are last year's canes. Look how tall those are. And they've spread through the fence on this side, which is awesome. They are even starting to come up over here. Here we go. There's one right here, starting to come up in the ground here. A couple other places. Where did I see those? Oh, here it's coming up, right there, a couple more there. It's even spreading to the outside of the fence over here. You can see some there. All that and that. So I am thrilled with how well these are doing. Probably going to try to dig some of those up and move them back inside the fence though, so my dogs don't eat them all. The dogs love raspberries. So I'm going to plan on making this entire like top row. I want to make all for the raspberries, for these double gold raspberries. So I'm going to try to dig up those extras that are growing outside the fence and replant them in here, and just use like this whole top row for just those raspberries, so they have lots of room to spread out and grow. So that is one of the reasons I got the concrete blocks, is I want to put a row of block. Since this is on a hill, I'm going to put a row of block underneath it at the bottom to be able to put like compost and mulch that's not going to wash down the hill. So that's the plan for that. Then I have room here. I'm going to do probably about 6 semi-dwarf fruit trees, and the rest of this space I'm going to space them about 15 feet apart, and that'll take up most of this section here. And then at the bottom I'm going to leave room for other types of berries, like I'll have blueberries. I would really like to get kiwi berries as well. Might buy some more blackberries, or not buy more, but probably just propagate more blackberries from the ones that we have. They're over there in that section. We have a ton of wild black raspberries. There's some on the fence line right there. Those are black raspberries. We have a ton of those all over the property, so I don't think I need to use garden space for that. They just grow wild in the woods. We do have a lot of wild blackberries too, but the ones that we did buy, which again, those are over there in the garden on that side, those are amazingly delicious. They're huge blackberries, and so I definitely want to propagate that one and keep some of those in the garden to make sure we get those really nice ones. So I guess my plan for today, first thing, I'm gonna try to put in those blueberry bushes and the strawberries that I got. Possibly plant those raspberries today. I'm not gonna get that far, I'm guessing, but I do wanna go ahead and use some of those concrete blocks to build little squares around my already existing fruit trees in here. And by the way, if you're looking at my garden thinking what a mess, there's a reason I leave all these dead plants here, and I'll put a link in the description box to a video where I explain all of that. Or actually, it's not a video, it's a blog post, but I do explain all of that, the reason why I leave all this dead stuff in here. But anyways, this is our Honeycrisp tree. So what I want to do with all these trees is I want to put like a border of concrete block around the bottom, like one square. And then I'm going to pull these weeds out, fill this with compost, and then put mulch on top just to keep the weeds down, keep the moisture in, and just protect this tree. But one of the nice things about the concrete block is, you know what, I'll show you that later when I get that out. So anyways, we have the Honeycrisp tree here. We have our Jonathan apple tree right there. And then beyond that, down in the distance, we have a Montmorency cherry tree down there. So I'm gonna get those put together and get the strawberries and blueberries planted, and then we'll just kind of like see how much time is left and how much energy I have left. So anyways, let's get to it. This is my trusty garden knife. I use this all the time. I have thick black plastic covering the whole floor of the garden, and that's just to keep the weeds down in the walking paths and to keep the weeds down like anywhere that there's not a plant. I just cut a hole anywhere I want to put a plant so that I have a whole lot less weeding, and in a garden this size that is crucial. So anyways, I keep this knife in my pocket all the time so that when I do want to plant something, I can just cut right through the plastic and ready to go, ready to plant. So anyways, I'll put a link to that knife in the description box for you if you're interested. I do really like it. It's a good knife, and it has been through a lot with me. What I'm doing right now is I'm prepping the area for the strawberry plants, and I'll show you the technique I use here. Basically, I just turn the soil over. So I take a big scoop, flip it upside down, and if it has any big chunks in it, I just use the side of the shovel to like chop it up and break up the big chunks. So I basically just do that throughout that whole section just so that I can loosen all the dirt before I plant the strawberries, and that'll just help the roots to be able to get more situated and to spread more easily, and help with water flow, drainage, things like that. So that is what I'm doing here. All right, I got all the dirt loosened up. I'm gonna grab the strawberries and I'll show you how to space these. So the big shovel did most of the heavy lifting here, but there are still some like big chunks of dirt here. So I just grab those and crumble them up in my hands. Just wear thick gloves and you'll make quick work of it. That one's a rock. Throw that out of there. But a lot of this is just compacted dirt that you can just break apart in your hands. Got my ever sweet strawberries from Urban Farmer. Now, until you're ready to put these in, you want to keep them somewhere cool and dark. Don't have them sitting in the sun while you're getting your soil ready. So I had these over in the shade. But you can see how they're packaged. It's just a whole bunch of roots tied together. There are 25 bare roots plants here. So I'm going to take this rubber band off, or if you're from Pittsburgh, it's a gum band. Take that off and you're going to separate the roots. So we'll count them out. We have 1, 2, 25. Hey, I got 26. Look at that. I got an extra one. Thank you, Urban Farmer. By the way, hashtag not sponsored. Just happens to be where I ordered them from. All right, so you see this? See if you can get a close up here. The root system where they meet the leaves here, this is called the crown. You want to plant this so that the crown is not underground. You want to plant it like right at the level of the bottom of the crown is where you want the soil to come to. So that's what we're doing here. And you're going to want to spread these roots out sideways as much as you can so these will spread. So I'm going to evenly space these, just do 5 rows of 5. That's why I did a square. And I'm going to start in the middle. I learned the hard way the first year. when you start on the edges, it's hard to reach the middle without trampling the ones you already did. So start in the middle if you're doing a square. If not, start on the far side of whatever you're doing. All right, so we're gonna do one smack dab in the middle. This is the same technique as what I did with the big shovel. You just dig it up, flip it over, and chop it up. That breaks up those big chunks. So that's better. All right, gonna make a little hole here. Hopefully that's still in the camera. I can't even see the screen right now because the sun is so bright, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. All right, we'll take our first bare roots. We're gonna spread it out in this hole. And then we're going to cover it. Get rid of the rocks. Gonna cover it right to the level of the bottom of the crown there. And that's it. We're gonna do the same thing with the other 24. That's all of them. Now I need to go get some hoses out and drag a hose over here and water it. Especially on a day like today when it's super sunny. You really need to give it a really good watering when you put it in. It's a little bit better to plant stuff on a cloudy day so that it's not under so much stress when you put it in. But today's the day I had free. Today's the day they showed up in the mail. So today's the day they're getting planted. I just need to make sure I give it lots and lots of water to get started. One note for you when it comes to watering your plants in the garden, especially if you have a long garden hose that's laying out in the sun, make sure you test the temperature of the water before you spray your plants. Especially for me with the black plastic, the hose gets really, really hot, so I have to let the water run until the cold water comes out before I can water the plants. So the last thing I'm gonna do for these strawberries is I'm just going to put these garden staples into the plastic to hold the plastic down. We get a lot of wind in our area, so I like to use these to keep the plastic down so it doesn't blow away and rip off. I also use like rocks and old tires and stuff like that, just anything to weigh it down. But I will say, even though I am an Amazon affiliate, so I do make small commissions if you buy stuff through my links on Amazon. However, I've bought these from Amazon and I was not happy with them. They were not as strong as the ones that I got at our local store. These I like to get at Agway, and I don't know if Agway is a huge chain or not. I live in Western Pennsylvania. We have several Agway stores around us, but I'm sure they have a website. It's AGWAY if you want to look them up. But their garden staples are way stronger and sturdier than the ones I got from Amazon online. They do cost more money, but I feel like the ones that I bought online that were cheaper weren't even worth buying at all because they didn't hold the plastic in. They just blew away with the plastic. So I like these ones from Agway. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but just giving you my honest opinion. If you want to get them there, I would recommend that. And for this space, I'm just sticking one staple in each corner, and that should be good enough. Right, strawberries are done. Now let's go deal with the blueberries. As I mentioned before, I can be very indecisive about things, and now I'm rethinking the blueberries. So this blueberry bush in particular, this is here kind of by coincidence because it was up in what I tried to make the orchard, like up behind the house. We have a hill back there. I planted a whole bunch of trees and blueberries up there, and that ended up not being a great spot for them, not only because the deer kept killing them, but also the soil wasn't really good up there. Well, the one day, one of my dogs accidentally dug up this blueberry bush that was up on the hill, and she brought it over to me and it still had a root ball attached, so I thought, hey, why don't I throw it down in the garden inside the fence and just see if it survives. Well, I put it here, I think it was last year, and it is thriving. Look at all these blossoms. I mean, look at all those flowers. Those are all going to be berries. And it's a pretty young bush. So considering the fact that that is doing so well in this soil right here, as well as the fact that my raspberries are doing amazing in this soil right here, I think I'm going to change my plan, and instead of putting my blueberries, don't want to make you dizzy by turning too fast, but instead of putting them down there at the bottom of the hill where I planned on putting them, I think I'm just gonna put them right next to this guy, since he's doing really well in the soil. And you kind of have to work with what you have. I mean, if something does well in one spot, then that's where you need to grow it. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to amend the soil in a different location. Just put it where it wants to grow. That's my philosophy. It's less work for everybody. So anyways, I think I'm going to rip these weeds out here and make some spots for my new blueberries right over here. All right, my first box is built for the blueberries, and I decided for the blueberry plants using 6 cement blocks with a good size. That gives me a nice big opening in the middle that's big enough for the blueberry plants. For the tree, I'm gonna do the same thing around my fruit trees. Those I'm gonna use a few extra blocks. I think I'm gonna use 2 on each side to make the opening a little bit bigger since the trees are bigger. But this will work fine. Now, as you can see, this is on a spot of ground that is not perfectly level, which is the entirety of my garden. Nothing is flat in my garden, but that's okay. This doesn't have to be perfect. And I even like stood on top of the blocks and jumped up and down a little bit to help them get a little bit closer to level, but they don't have to be completely level. So what I'm gonna do is cut a hole in this plastic. I'm gonna cut out basically that whole square and remove that so that this has good drainage. And then I'm going to put in some, can't get to it, some of this compost, manure. I have compost and manure here. I'm gonna put some of that in and some black mulch on top, just to keep the weeds down, to keep the moisture in, and I will plant my blueberry bush right in the center there. Now these holes on the cement blocks, I'm also gonna fill those with potting soil, and then I'm gonna plant beneficial flowers in there. So flowers that attract pollinators and or flowers that repel pests or rodents or things like that. So I think marigolds are definitely gonna make that list. And I'm not sure what all else. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research to figure out what flowers to plant in there. But for those, sorry, my camera's giving me a low battery alert. So for those, I'm just gonna use my older potting soil that is in the garden shed because I bought it a couple years ago, didn't really like it that much, but I kept it because, you know, I don't throw things away because I'm cheap. So I'll just use that to fill the holes on the outside, because if the flowers don't germinate, like, it's not like we're not gonna eat or something, you know. I'd rather use the good stuff on the food that we're actually gonna eat, and the flowers are kind of extra, so I'll fill those with that. And I'll show you the finished product because I can't film it right now because my battery is dying. Oh, one last thing. I'm also gonna cut holes in the plastic in here too for drainage for the flowers. So I'll show you when it's done. Okay, I loosened up the dirt that was in there with the big shovel, same way that I did with the strawberry plants. Loosened that all up. And then I added a few shovels full of the compost and manure mixture, and then I mixed it in again with just the dirt that was there from the ground. What I'm gonna do now is put another few shovels full of the compost on top. Then I'm gonna plant the blueberry in the middle and cover the rest with mulch. I have to apologize to you. I was having a lot of camera issues with this, and also my camera was dying, so I don't actually have a video of me putting the blueberry bush in there. But I do want to make the comment that several people told me you don't really want to use concrete blocks when you're planting your blueberries, because when it rains, you can actually have lime leach out of the concrete blocks and into the soil, and lime will raise the pH of your soil. Blueberries prefer very acidic soil, about 4.5 pH. And so I may just have to add some amendments to it to keep the acidity level down, which I'd much rather do that than not have the blocks there at all, because without the blocks, I can't hold any compost or mulch around the plant without it just washing down the hill. So I'm totally fine with just adding a little bit of amendment to the soil if it needs more acidity. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe, and you won't miss out on the rest of the garden transformation as I work on it little by little all summer long. So thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like this video if you like this kind of content. Leave me any comments that you want, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.